Building Corporation. All of us were sent some minutes from the last time, and Chris Goffnet has given us another copy to look at. If anybody has any questions, please speak. If not, I'll look for a motion and a second to get these babies approved.
So moved. Second.
First and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. We need to talk about a resolution. John, you want to go or
Jacob? Sure. So Jacob McClellan, Bose McKinney and Evans. This is the last step for authorization of bonds for the school. As you'll recall, you guys act as the building corporation, hold title to property. The school leases that property from you all, and the lease payments line up for payment on bonds. The school's been through, and you guys were through last month, a meeting. We've had several public meetings. And the provisions in the resolution before you include parameters for the final authorization for issuance of bonds provided by London Woody Group, the school's municipal advisor, and Mesero. Mesero will be the underwriter of the bonds. But the resolution authorizes bonds or bond anticipation. There probably won't be any, but just flexibility. There's lots of flexibility in here. In an amount of not to exceed $11 million for the project. I know. I was going to say there's a typo. I will fix that typo for the final if you guys are okay with it. Recall, there's a trust agreement that you guys have, your predecessors had entered into. It's called a trust indenture, and every time an issue of bonds is issued for the school, you guys supplement that, and the supplement secures those bonds underneath that indenture in the same collateral pool. So it authorizes the 7th supplemental indenture. There's a form that you were provided. It authorizes a preliminary official statement. Mesero's attorney is working on that. That's essentially a prospectus. Like if you guys have bought mutual funds, it looks a lot like a prospectus, but it goes through the school and school's enrollment, and school's financials, and operation of the school. And there's an appendix on kind of the local economics of the area and that sort of thing. Sorry, my throat there. It authorizes an addendum to the lease. You guys executed the lease at the last meeting, the amendment to the lease. Once the bonds are priced, just as a refresher, there'll be an addendum to the lease. The amendment to the lease authorized not to exceed parameters. The addendum will bring those down in line with the actual bond payments. It'll be the bond payments plus about $1,500 or $2,000 for trustee fees, rounded up. And those funds run into the indenture and get held in the indenture for payment. And to the extent there's any excess, which there will always be a little bit of excess, those are used to pay the trustee, and those are available because the bonds will be issued tax exempt. There's some compliance items that come up after the fact, rebate calculations, and things like that. And those funds are available for that, or in the alternative, they will eventually be used to just make the final payment on the bonds. So. But we're talking like over 20 years. I've had other clients that maybe get $40,000 accrued in there if they just forget that they have that available. John, to the extent you have, we've talked to a rebate analyst. To the extent you have a rebate analyst look at any of your bonds, I mean, that's where we would look to. That way, the school doesn't have to pay the $3,000 or whatever. It authorizes a bond purchase agreement. Again, Mesero is the underwriter here. And it authorizes private placement if a bank were to step up and have a better rate. I think it'll be underwritten by Mesero. I think that's what we anticipate would be the best rate at this point. And it authorizes closing documents and kind of all other steps necessary for the issuance of the bonds. As far as timing, we are scheduled this week to talk to a rating agency for the bonds tomorrow. Yep. Getting my days mixed up. We would look to probably sell the bonds in late November, early December, with closing and funds available kind of mid to late December. What that'll look like is once the bonds price, and after, assuming you guys adopt this resolution, of a form of bond purchase agreement, I'll have you sign the signature page, and we'll have Chris hang on to that or John hang on to that. Once they're signed off on the pricing for the bonds. So let me step back. We will talk to the rating agency tomorrow. I think it's probably about 7 days or so to 10 days before we get a rating on the bonds. and then Mesero will finalize that offering document. They will probably take about 7 days to market the bonds, and then they will work with John to say, hey, today's a good day to be in the market, or, if something crazy happens in the news, we might back up a little bit. But once the bonds are sold, Mesero goes out to investors and gets bids on the bonds, and then they put together the final numbers. We put those in the bond purchase agreement. And once that's signed, then you typically have between 2 and 3 weeks to deliver the final closing documents. So the final numbers in the bond purchase agreement get filled into the forms of documents that you all see, and the closing documents, we'll get those up pretty quickly, and we'll tab those up, and we'll either run those through John or through Chris. It'll be the president and the secretary that would mainly need to sign documents. And then, like I said, funds would be available on the day we actually settle and close. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
If you get those to me, I have them laid out on this big conference room table, and you guys can just come in. I'll have them all tabbed on where you sign.
Yep.
Get them all
So
signed.
once we get money, so to speak, what's the timeline you're thinking?
UDA is working on the plans right now, and the board, we had a work session right after our last meeting, and they've kind of pushed them. They would like to be going out and trying to get started in the spring. I don't know if that's feasible. There are several big school projects going on right now.
Yeah.
So it may be a fall kind of start time, something like that. The good thing is, since we're not demoing any of our building, we can start anytime.
Whenever.
So we'll kind of see where construction costs are and who all bids for it, because right now they're running about $350 a square foot to build. A couple of years ago, they were less than 200. So we're going to try, and it's not going to get any cheaper. So we're pushing quick to get it done. I would love to say it's going to start over the summer, but I can't promise that.
And the sooner the better with the taxes and proceeds.
Right.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve these?
A motion to approve the resolution, and then once you guys close the meeting, I'll have a couple copies for you to sign. I'll take one with one of you or with John, and then I have a form of bond purchase agreement for you guys to sign.
Ladies, can I have a motion?
Now, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution that's been presented to us.
Second. A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? We're good. Any other business before us?
I have nothing.
Motion to adjourn?
Make that motion.
We're adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Here's a couple copies of those, and I'll correct this.